it hasn't been implemented yet. We'll wait to see how the minister reacts to that, because he says he wasn't affected by the other one of the 50-year-old, 60-year-old women. We'll wait and see. Can we have Mr. Bakoma Isoka speak to us, and you have strictly 15 minutes.
Give contemporary incidents of conflict on land in Uganda. Minister Migiriko has cited the border disputes. Now, we need to mention this, that border disputes exist between Terego and Maracha, and they are violent, between Nwoya and Nebi, around Parongo, between Ajmani and Amuru, and Nwoya, that triangle, between Katakwi and Karamoja, between Kabarole and Toroko on the crest of Wenzori and Bondibudjo at Kichwamba. There are also boundary disputes. The first one I encountered is the 1 degree south latitude between TZ and Uganda. That the coordinates have now shifted half a kilometer, one direction. And in one county called Bukanga and the next one called Koki, the people of Buema are denied grazing and are turning their market at Buema because of a live boundary conflict between the two states. The one at Vura is the live one. Vura in Uganda is one of the most beautiful lands everybody would wish to live in or see. There are certain areas in Uganda which God decorated in wonderful architecture. They are Vura, Zombo, Rwemiyaga in Zimbabwe, and Kasana. You go there and see the rolling hills. You will see when you are driving, you actually stop because the scenery is captivating. Now, the beauty of these lands also is a source of conflict. People want to live where land is beautiful, yes, where this land is also the home of our spirits. People go to the hills, to the rivers, to the valleys, because they believe the ancestral spirits live there. The spirits are called the people wealth and blessings, and even take away curses. So conflict on land is not just for materialistic purposes or reasons, but also for spiritual and prophetic reasons. Land is regarded as territory, hence the conflict between districts and states. Land is a homeland. The people of Kibale district, Uganda, up to now, are craving for a homeland, owning a homeland that was denied to them by the colonial administration. Land is a store of wealth. People who acquire money from the diaspora or from hard work and trade keep their wealth in money. It is a store of wealth that keeps appreciating. It is the wealth that you can easily dispose of and wealth that does not get destroyed. You cannot keep your wealth in cattle that are prone to foot and mouth disease, thunderbolts, and other disaster, but land is the most secure way of keeping one's wealth. Land is a place of identity of a community that does not identify itself with a geographical entity, with land on the ground, is not worth the salt. It is vulnerable, and therefore conflicts around land are fundamental, and that's why the debate on conflicts, on evictions, especially in third world countries like Uganda, will continue for all generations. I have been around for 60 years. and I have been participating in the State of the Nation dialogue year after year with accord with the Uganda-Land Alliance. In the CA, as you heard, as the Minister of Lands, the debate never seems to get over. There is dispute and conflict between landlords and tenants, especially in the double interest, double ownership areas of land, where there are freeholds and where there is mile land. Now the escape route has been and is that the landowners are going to credit institutions, offering the land as collateral, and deliberately defaulting on loan repayment. After which, the court bailiffs put on auction the land, and most of the evictions in Kayunga, in Uganda, that we hear of, are not because of the conflict between the primary owner or the one bequests the land, but those who buy land from the court bailiffs arising out of default on loan repayment. So this is a new outcome arising out of land rights of indigenous people that were not recognized at the onset of mile land institution and freehold institution in Toro, in Ankole, and in Uganda. Mr. Chairman, currently people are rushing to Bunyoro region. Tomorrow they will be in West Nile, I predict, in the Nile Valley, because of the oil and gas resources discovered there. They are strategically positioning themselves there in order to acquire compensation or other benefits arising out of the infrastructure put on the ground for oil and gas exploitation and the other activities like refineries that are being established in this area. And this is a source of conflict between the rich people who are conniving the district land boards to the detriment of the ignorant communities of this region. Mr. Chairman, we have conflict in Rango revolving around Maruzi Ranch. The Rango people are stopping investors from acquiring the government ranch measuring over 30 square miles in Apache district. There is also conflict in the Acholi region revolving around Aswa government ranch. This is another ranch which spans over 3 districts, Kitigu, Muramo, and Gulu, around River Aswa. As we have already heard, there is conflict revolving around acquisition of sugar plantation and factory land in Kisiramfumbi Hoima and in Amuru Acholi. We have already heard that in the Bunyoro area, cattle keepers are giving cover to the rich land grabbers in the oil-rich area. The land owners, those who get titles, secure the cover of the mobile cattle keepers to settle on the land, while the local communities are clashing with the cattle keepers, but the underlying problem is with the district land boards and the rich land grabbers. Mr. Chairman, I've mentioned the Namayingo. I did mention Namayingo, but Namayingo is also a case of large plantation investors potentially displacing peasants and peasants resisting plantation agriculture. In Kasese district, we have got a quest for recovery of homelands by the Basongora minority community and the Banyabindi minority community, who argue that Queen Elizabeth National Park Mobuku Prison Farm, Ibuga Prison Farm, Ibuga Ameland, Rimi Giant Prison Farm are all traditional homelands that the government acquired and evicted these people, or took advantage of when these people migrated, some to Congo, some to central Uganda, because of the infestation of tsetse flies. Now, tsetse flies have also displaced people, as we all know, in Ankole during the after Second World War, by which government brought in helicopters to spray the fly in order to resettle the people. But those who are resettled were not the original owners, the cattle keepers, but were government functionaries, army officers, big cooperative unions who took what is now known as Ankole ranching scheme, Sembabule ranching scheme, Nakasongola ranching scheme, and Kiliandongo ranching scheme in Bunyoro. In South Busoga also, the tsetse fly evicted people, as it were, from Bunya district and parts of Namayingo. People moved northwards for the tsetse fly to be eradicated. But after eradication, government instead gazetted the forest reserve, South Busoga Forest Reserve, and big farms like the Reina Kafire farm in Bulyambuzi area, where we had violent clashes. Mr. Chairman, as I wind up, I cannot go without mentioning Kasokoso. Kasokoso is a live ordinance in Wakiso district, and this must be well handled, diffused, because it is potentially dangerous. Government and National Housing Corporation have to handle Kasokoso very well, because inevitably there will be displacement, which here we call eviction. And, but these people must be found an alternative home. I cannot go without talking about Kibali. Buyaga Bugangaisi, the lost counties as they are known, are a source of vicious cycle of conflict over land. The land fund that we very well know was instituted 12 years ago and has already acquired 150,000 acres. And with the same fund paid to the landowners, this year we are going to see systematic demarcation and titling, conferring land rights, giving registrable interest to the bona fide and lawful occupants of that land. But as the consultations went on with the members of parliament and His Highness, the King of Bunyoro, King Solomon Iguru, the issue of newcomers, in quotes, people who came in from southwest Uganda, became an issue to be handled. And keep your ears tuned and see how this development, this restitution of land to the people of Buyaga Bugangaisi is going to be done. We should not forget the Benet and the Ndoboro people of Sebei, who were displaced a generation ago by the Forest Reserve and its successor, the National Park. The effect of the oil refinery, the pipeline, the wells, the access roads, the new access roads, upgrading of roads, and the new roads being constructed in the country with the trillions of shillings are also a source of displacement of people, where the implementers of these projects often abuse the funds that are meant to give replacement land to the communities whose lands are taken over by this infrastructure. What Uganda Land Commission has done, of course, is by way of, as I said, the land fund, but this is a question of the minister. The problem of poor governance, of land institutions, and few professionals in the land discipline, especially surveyors. Uganda ranks as one of the lowest in this resource when we compare, for example, the number of surveyors and cartographers to 1 million people. In Uganda, we have 10. Malaysia has got 197 of this category. And land surveying is the best land demarcation, land alienation, land production of a deed plan is the basic activity on conferring land rights to the people and to the users. We have to put in place the land tribunals for dispute resolution. This is a missing institution in the land. Article 242 of the Constitution has to be implemented to the full, and the government should take land as infrastructure. If this is omitted and we lose out on the revenue from oil and gas, we shall continue agonizing. So I'm calling upon the land fraternity to advocate for the revenue from oil and gas to go to land administration, land dispute resolution, and also systematic demarcation to reduce the inequality in wealth between northern Uganda and eastern Uganda on one part, and central Uganda and western Uganda on the other part. The former, people have no land titles, people have no bankable assets, they cannot access credit, they cannot also sustain grants from any donor or any partner in development because they have no tangible deed plan to show as ownership of land. Credit and grants are flowing to the south because that's where the majority of titled land is. And in order to sort out this inequality, government should do what it did in 1955 and 56 in the uneducated freeholds of Ankole and Kigezi, in the counties of Rujumbura, Rugabo, Igara, and Shema, where every kibanja was converted into a freehold. You walk to these areas, you stand on any hill, you will see a good network of demarcated, fenced land, farms which are model farms where every farmer in Uganda wishes to go as a tourist or as a student of agronomy to see what is going on. So there cannot be a realization of Vision 2040. There cannot be modernization of agriculture. There cannot be transformation of peasantry to commercial agriculture, to industrialization and the service sector, unless revenue from oil and gas are put in the land sector as part of the structure to spur the economy to that paradise of 2040. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
KFM, we're at the State of the Nation address, the 58th State of the Nation dialogue, coming to you live from the hotel. We're talking about land evictions. Of course, we've had a lot of very interesting comments from Honorable Isoke as well as the Land Minister who was here a little while ago. When we come back from the break, we get to hear from you, of course, and from everyone in the house here as well in terms of feedback on what has been said and what they think is what. Don't forget, hashtag to follow is hashtag STONUG or hashtag STON58. And of course, look for at 933KFM on Twitter or at @Uganda, and of course on Facebook as well. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. And as we do the commercial break, I'll invite another person to make a very brief presentation. I know you have 12 slides, but you're going to use strictly 5 minutes. Mr. Charles Kabiswa. Program Director, Ecological Christian Organization. Use strictly 5 minutes.
And then potential latent or manifest conflicts related to land and minerals. So my title is Vision 2040 should leave no one behind, including Karamoja. We have a map of Karamoja showing how mineral-rich the country is, both industrial minerals, metallic and non-metallic minerals. So it is a fact that we have over 50 different types of minerals in Karamoja which are exploited or non-exploited. And then we all know the statistics. I don't want to remind you about the population, 1.2 million people, and the 80% total 80% of the population living below poverty line, and then all other problems, poverty, service. But the good news, we have some security, or the entire security has actually attracted many companies to do exploration or do actual mining. And this map is the map of Uganda, which is July 2014. It shows you how rich the country is, but this is more practical because all of those boxes are the concessions we have by end of July 2014. The concessions of companies that are either mining or that are doing exploration. Exploration is not mining, but taking samples to find out if it's the rich community for. But comparing to different parts of the country, you see the boxes in Karamoja. Actually, I have a better map here for Karamoja alone. You can see how the land is not given out, but is under which is potential basically for minerals. And doesn't imply that all those companies or concessions are mining, but the process, the four licensing regimes, which I might not be able to explain because of the 5 minutes. And statistically, by end of July last year, we had almost 62% of the total square land for Karamoja licensed for mineral exploration or exploitation. So that shows how the land is, and by 51 foreign companies or foreign and independent companies. So we have in Karamoja only around 136 concessions. It should be a little bit more because of this is for last year. And we also have another bigger part of the artisanal and small scale miner, which is almost half of the total million people in Karamoja, seasonally or permanently, depending on mining. What are the triggers, or what are the conflict related to land and mining? We have conflicts between mining private companies and then communal land resource users, then disputes which arise out of speculation of the commercial companies doing mineral exploration. Exploration is not actual mining, but because of the duration the company spends on the land, because it is given out for 7 years. So if 7 years you are doing exploration, there's a lot of potential for the conflict as people see. And then there are weaker policies within the different levels of mining. Now, then we have got this other bigger pool of almost 500,000 people dependent, seasonally, permanently, directly, indirectly on the land. So we have conflicts between small-scale miners, and we have conflicts between small-scale miners and investors on who should control, because for them they don't know if the land is under concession, or so they have been there for maybe 40 years or less. So we also have conflicts, land disputes, boundary disputes, which have been mentioned, and also contradictory natural resource use, wildlife, Uganda, wildlife, UNFA, and then maybe reducing access to grazing land or farming opportunities. And then conflict between herders and cultivators. And what are the critical issues? The interface, who are NF and local communities of access to the land is key. We have core governance issues, including those related to transparency and accountability. Many have talked about security of land, the land tenure registration system. We need to see that increasing people access of own land, especially land in Karamoja, which is communally owned. There's also an issue of amending the mining policy and the laws which is actually ongoing right now, many of us would be interested to see how it interfaces with the land, because the land policy is already in place, and now the mining policy is being included. I would want us to have critically analyzed the component of land rights within, because it denies people to access royalties and also giving them the power to negotiate. Consultation and participation of the locals, traditional natural resources management structures are key. Then the capacity of actors to deal with the emerging mineral issues, because we've seen the big boxes sometimes you need a stronger community than the informed ability to challenge some of the processes and human rights issues. Flow of information, I know even some of you never had these maps and this information, so if we don't have some of this information in Kampala, then don't expect the people in Uganda to have. Then because of the conflict between large-scale mining and small-scale, we need to see the coexistence of artisan and small-scale miners, and the policy should be able to put that into place, and also formalizing the ASM, because as it is right now, there are more illegal miners, yet it forms a bigger part of the population. So that's a quick one, because I was given 5 minutes, I'm happy within 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Charles, you created a lot of worried faces when you put up that map with boxes. Maybe they should put it up again, because I saw people trying to locate themselves on that map, and they were not finding themselves. This is what we're going to do. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, all the panelists. The minister has had to leave. He has an important meeting, and he's been replaced by the Chief Government Valuer, Gilbert Kermundu, who will answer. He whispers in my ear that he may not be able to answer political questions. He will answer.
Okay.
Yes, good morning. A lot has been said. I will limit myself just to 3 quick points. One, I will start from Karamoja. Karamoja, there's need to worry, because as it has been shown that there's a lot there. What happens is Karamoja now actually find land being demarcated at night. You'll find people coming from Kampala with papers, very genuine papers, claiming ownership of land. And that is clear, especially that area where land is communally owned. I mean, it's not mentioned the word before I mentioned this, but there is something that's called communal land associations that we help Karamoja, the communities there to form, to help them hold ownership of that land. Unfortunately, it has to be government to register those associations before they can actually be functional. But this is taking long. These associations were formed in 2013, and we're still waiting to see when they get functional. So there's a worry there, because these communal land associations actually award Uganda Land Alliance a global award. I was telling somebody that you can see Kenzo won a global award, and there was a lot of papers. We tried to reach all the media to tell the world that communal land associations won a global award, and nobody gave us the headlines. But I picked that award in the Senegal a few weeks ago. So that will help the Karamoja follow their land, you know. And then to the other is that all the land grabbing in this country, research has it that there are just about 11 individuals who are very strong. My neighbor calls them insulated. You can't do anything about it.
Can you give names?
I will not give the names now. They are around about 11.
Thank you.
And everywhere you go, every corner of the country, you'll find those names behind those names.
I'm afraid if the first speaker violates the rules, the others will not. So.
Okay, lastly, Mr. Chairman, is that going forward, there is what is called public interest when land is being grabbed. That public interest is not clearly defined in our laws.
Okay, the former minister will explain public interest.
Yes,
Thank
because
you.
that's largely abused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presenters, there are some about 2 issues they have not mentioned, which trigger those land evictions. You know, I'm the RDC in Togo, now. That means I'm a participant and a practitioner in either aiding land evictions or stopping land evictions, in one way or the other. Now, there's one issue of greed. Greed has not been picked. I don't want even to mention names, but the first presenter, he knows very well why in the market is not taking place himself. Tinder, which should be a community market, he's one of those who have stored it because they wanted to grab that land. Yes?